Hello and welcome to Prime Time Football, Monday Night Football edition. Tonight we have a doubleheader and we start with Andre, which is going to be Falcons versus Bills. My storyline for this game is chaos is a pitt-s. So, for those who don't know the reference, it refers to Kyle Pitts, obviously the player for the Falcons, but also one of my very favorite scenes from Game of Thrones when Littlefinger and Varys are discussing chaos as a ladder or as a pit. Love it. So encourage you to watch it. But let's talk football, shall we? So to me, this is going to be about two teams that when they are off schedule, they are freaking deadly. I mean, Falcons absolutely showed it, not last week because they were on the bye, but previous weeks. When they are able to run the ball and make Michael Penix a complementary piece of this offense, he can do it on a very, very high level. But when it's all about his arm and his running abilities, it's not necessarily good. That's why Falcons are really up and down this season. I thought for the Bills, it's not the case because I really thought they were able to overcome everything. But last week, they did not show that. Patriots were able to throw them off the schedule. Also, Bills did that to themselves because they made several uncharacteristic mistakes, but at the end of the day, they were not able to overcome that and actually win. So it seems like neither of these teams are actually using chaos as a ladder. So let's find out who are the key matchups for this one. Well, we talked about ability to run the ball for the Falcons. And yes, I think Bijan is absolutely the key. To me, he's probably the most dangerous running back that is out there in the league right now, especially when you have to treat him as a dual threat, both receiving and rushing. And he has, I think, the best run blocking guard in front of him in Chris Lidstrom. And this is very interesting matchup because Bills are getting most likely Ed Oliver back. And he's a huge part of their defensive line. But to me, here kind of meets strength, meets weakness, and the other way around. Because Ed Oliver is, let's keep it safe and say top 15 in terms of interior defensive linemen and their pass rushing abilities. He's really good at it, but his run defense is kind of just average. Now for Chris Lidstrom, he to me is, like I said, the best run blocking guard, whilst his pass protection is still above average because he's a special player, but it's not necessarily his biggest strength. So, is Ed Oliver going to be able to dictate the schedule for Chris Lidstrom and overall the game script in which Chris Lidstrom needs to pass protect and Ed Oliver can use his strength in terms of pass rush, or will Falcons stay on schedule, Chris Lidstrom run blocks, and here Ed Oliver can run in some trouble, especially when his backup, highly drafted TJ Sanders from this year's draft, is on IR. So it's going to be all about Ed Oliver. They will need him to be his best version of himself from the get-go. Now, for the next matchup, I just could not leave it without Kyle Pitts. One, because of the storyline of this game, and two, because Kyle Pitts and his performance this year is very, very refreshing for the Falcons fans. And three, Darnell Mooney is out, which means their secondary wide receiver option is not available. Also, Ray McLeod is kind of not having the best season. So it's like Drake London, Bijan Robinson, but in terms of someone that would complement these two as a running back and wide receiver, Kyle Pitts is the guy, and he definitely has a really, really nice year. So, I don't think he's going to kind of ever be what he was in his first season, but can you get top 12 tight end from him? Yeah, I definitely think so. And at this point, this would be kind of a win for the Falcons, even if it's just for the season, possibly. Now, against him, there will be perhaps Taron Johnson is going to be lined up on him, but several linebackers as well, including Terrell Bernard. And Bills fans, I know we have this discussion a lot in terms of Terrell Bernard because I'm not a huge fan of this man in terms of I don't think he is anything but starting linebacker. I think, I told you there should be a decent starter next to his name, but nothing more. And I don't think that type of a player deserves such a huge contract in the offseason. But that's just me. For the Bills, Terrell Bernard is a huge player. He's kind of the communicator. He's a guy that wears a green dot and kind of makes all work. I understand it's such a huge role and it's very, very important. I get it. But beside the stuff prior to the snap, I just see an average or below average player actually. So how is it going to be when he's matched up on Kyle Pitts? Can he win his individual reps, or will Kyle Pitts make some big gains on him? That could be very, very low-key important story of this game. So we will say and have to find out, because Bills are still missing Matt Milano. Now, for the last matchup, let's talk about big play potential, because ever since Stephon Diggs kind of left, they also let Gabe Davis go, the offense for the Bills was made highly, highly effective in terms of 0 to 20 yards from line of scrimmage. Like, they are deadly. Like, in that space, they can run it with James Cook, run it with Josh Allen, with other running back, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, one of the best third down backs. They have super weapons like Khalil Shakir. But in terms of like really big plays, throwing it down deep, where Josh Allen obviously has a huge arm, it's been lacking. They drafted Keon Coleman to do it, and he's really up and down. Like similar to Gabe Davis. I think Keon Coleman is a better player, but still, there is not necessarily an element of certainty that you will get that one big play from this guy at least a game. And for this game, it's going to be interesting, because I think that the Falcons are going to stack up the box, very similarly to Patriots, which means they will probably leave one safety just in the backside. And that will be, in my eyes, Xavier Watts as their free safety. And he's been playing lights out. He's been special. I love this draft pick from the Falcons. I felt he was definitely a second round talent, so this was a tremendous value. And yeah, he is freaking great. So, is it going to be Keon Coleman winning for some big gains, or Xavier Watts making a play and perhaps intercepting Josh Allen? That could also decide this game. At the end of the day, I think Bills are going to come back and win this one. But if Falcons are able to keep this close, just as Patriots were, I would be like, okay, I'm not sure. I trust the Bills defense to, not allow 7-minute grind drive by Bijan Robinson at the end of the day to close it for the Falcons. So this should be a really good one. Thank you for watching, and see you for the next part in the doubleheader when we take a look for the Bears and the Commanders.